welcome to to the Professional Development Program, Day 3, hosted by Amity International School, Pushpihar. I would like to express my gratitude to our guiding light, our very humble and respected Founder President, sir, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, sir, our inspiring and visionary respected Chairperson, ma'am, Dr. Mrs. Anita Chauhan, ma'am. It is their zeal to take Amity to the pinnacle in the field of education that imbibes and infuses all of us with energy. Ma'am has always kept Amitians at the forefront and ensured that our young learners always have the best of everything, be it technology, pedagogy, or strategies. We would not be here if it was not for them. I would like to take a moment to welcome Dar ma'am, Mukesh sir, Shali ma'am, and all the headmistress coordinators, sir. Thank you for joining us. I now take a moment to introduce our resource person for the session today. Dr. Kanika Ahuja is a professor, Department of Psychology, Lady Shri Ram College for Women, University of Delhi, a gold medalist from Lady Shri Ram College, and a doctorate in psychology from University of Delhi. She has over 2 decades of teaching, research, and professional experience. She is the editor of the prestigious The Learning Curve, a peer-reviewed journal published by Lady Shri Ram College since 2018. She has published about 40 articles in various leading journals such as Current Psychology, Vikalpa, the Journal for Decision Makers, Sage Open, etc. She has also delivered a very impressive TEDx talk. She has presented several papers and keynote addresses in both national and international forums. She has conducted various workshops for many corporates and government bodies. It is a privilege, ma'am, to have you here amongst us to gain from your insights and experience. We welcome you to Amity International School. Dar ma'am, humbly, if I may request you to please present a Tulsi sapling. Welcome our resource person, Dr. Kanika Ahuja.
Thank you very much, Madhuri. Thank you for a generous introduction. Thank you, Dar ma'am. Thank you, Mohan ma'am, for inviting me here this morning. So, via the backbenchers, you can all come and sit here. First of all, I wish you a very happy and meaningful 2025, and I hope the new year is very nice for all of you. Thank you. So you will see that I have titled my talk as Teaching from the Heart, because I think teaching is not just a profession, it's a calling. It's a profession where our heart and head are exercised equally. So before I begin, I want to take a moment and I want to ask you all if you remember your favorite teachers. When you were in school, some of you are very young, you would have probably been in school six years back. Some of you perhaps 10 years, 15 years back. But do you remember your teachers? And if you could share, what about the teacher do you remember? Which teacher do you remember? And what did she say or what did she do that made a lasting impact on you that you remember? Yes, ma'am. Do we have another mic?
So, my favorite teacher, my geography teacher, was there with me in 11th and 12th, and it was at that time when she gave me the whole world map to me and the map of India as well. sorry to say that at that time I did not know all the capitals, but it was she who made me know it, and I still remember each and every country, the capitals and the capitals that I can like place it on the map of my eyes. So
And what did she make you do it so that you remember it so well?
that's the key. The practice is the key. So the very first day she had given the maps, she had shown the globe, and it was a test the next day. So every week, whenever we had her periods, she would take a test for the first time, like for the first 15 minutes, and it was like that. We remember, and we remember it so well that we will never forget it.
That you now remember this day. It's wonderful. Okay, anybody else who remembers? Yes, ma'am.
And there was one thing I would always say that impossible. I could not do this. So she said it very clearly. There's nothing called impossible. The word itself says I am possible and you can do it. So that's how every time when I would hesitate to do something, she would make sure it's like I am possible and you can.
Lovely. So she remembers a teacher from grade 2. Imagine how many years back. Anyone else from this side? Yes, ma'am.
मैम मुझे बायो की मैम याद है मैं क्लास 6 में थी और उन्होंने मुझे ये बताया था कि मेरी साइड बहुत कमजोर थी और उन्होंने मुझे ये बताया हार नहीं माननी चाहिए जैसे कि मैं छोटी छोटी चीजों पर बहुत जल्दी रोने लगती थी कि अरे अब ये मुझसे नहीं होगा ये मैं कर ही नहीं सकती तो मुझे याद है स्टाफ रूम में उन्होंने मुझे बिठा के बहुत समझाया था इवन आज भी मैं उनके टच में हूँ और उनका नाम है मिसेस अमिता मिश्रा और वो मेरी मतलब मुझे बायो पढ़ाती थी इतने अच्छे से एक एक चीज समझाती थी उस वक्त ये सारी चीजें नहीं थी वो मुझे डायग्राम बना करके रफ पे ये ऐसे होता है ये ऐसे होता है और 10th के बाद मैंने साइंस छोड़ दी के बाद भी लाइफ के लेसन्स या उतार चढ़ाव जो भी हुआ वो मेरे टच रहे और उन्होंने मुझे बहुत अच्छी सारी चीजें सिखाई
Anyone else from this side? Please.
Yeah, I'm not that old actually. I'm just joking. No. I remember my social science teacher, and that's why I think I took up my research and everything in social science. One thing which I distinctly remember to date is about the compassionate nature of what I teach. And then the fire that she had in her belly to make the subject interest. And I think that's left a in the mark on my soul, I think I should say that.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone on this side?
Okay, so this is about my college professor. She's Mrs. Simikor Mehta. And while doing my graduation in history, so I was very skeptical of what I should do further after my graduation. But my professor, she always knew what capacity do I hold and what can I do in my near future. But I was not sure what do I need to do in my near future. So she always used to tell me that you can be a good teacher. Okay. So I never in my life wanted to become a teacher. This is, but I wanted to go for civil services, and even as far as I remember, in the COVID period, I practiced and I tried hard to get into that. But she was continuously in touch with me. But she always used to tell me, no, Jyoti, this is not the right thing for you to do. Just think yourself as a diplomat or as a collector. Can you take care of a whole district as a collector? So then I came to realize, know this fact that yes, ma'am is saying right, and she pushed me towards teaching, and I am here right now.
So it's interesting that the descriptions of your favorite teacher, other than the first one, which was purely on teaching and how she made them practice and the test that she took.
I am going to mention, everyone was mentioning about senior teachers, but I'm going to mention a teacher who was with me, what do I say, 70 years back, because I was only 6 years old. She was a class 1 teacher at that time. We only had KG and class 1. And this, maybe there may be a little bit of negativism in this, because on those days, there was a little corporal punishment. Now, this teacher was about, an old Christian teacher, about 75 years old. She was a little hunched, and she was a perfectionist. So she expected from the little ones perfection. And when we were doing our work, she wouldn't allow us to use an eraser, because she used to say, you have to think and write, think and write. Well, one day I was also, nervous child. So I made a mistake. Now what to do? I didn't want to. She had an eraser on a table and she said, whenever we went there, she'd say, why did you make that mistake? So I didn't want to be asked. So I did that. And she caught me. And what she did was, with a little ruler, she rapped me on my calf. I'll never forget it. She made me a perfectionist. Maybe this kind of punishment is not valid today, but I remember her being a teacher whom I loved because she taught me to think and write the hard way. I learned it the hard way, but I never ever forget her because she taught me towards training me to perfection and to think and write. Be careful.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. I don't know if at that time you appreciated it or you appreciated it later or appreciated it even more later.
Yes.
So one thing that strikes me from all these examples is that while the pedagogy of what you teach is important, what is more important is your heart, compassion, being in touch, giving life lessons, telling her what you are capable of, saying impossible means I am possible, showing your faith, putting your faith in the child. That is what an exceptional teacher does. We did a study at our college a couple of years ago where we asked students to write down examples of teachers who performed in an excellent manner and teachers who performed in an absolutely poor manner. And we wanted specific examples. So this is called the critical incidence technique, which helps you understand what are those behaviors which differentiate between excellent performance and poor performance. So we collected some 300 or perhaps even more examples of such great and not so good behavior. To my surprise, the number one category, then we came up with categories which were similar and themes which were similar, and then we sort of did the frequency counting and all. The number one category, to my surprise, was not pedagogy and how you teach. It was rapport. So we called it rapport. Rapport meaning how you are connecting to the child, empathy. And there were some examples where the teacher went a little beyond the classroom and did something for the child. When I say child, of course, we're talking about 19, 20, 21-year-olds. So one example, for instance, was where the child lost her father. So this teacher went to the child's house. She said she took a card for me, and after I joined back college, was constantly in touch with me and used to send messages to her on how you were doing. There was another example where a student sort of fainted in class, and the teacher asked her what had happened, and she said that I'm not feeling well. The teacher took her to the doctor. So, and this student was not staying in, so she was staying in a PG, so she did not have any parents or somebody. And this was very early on, right in the first semester, where she didn't know a doctor, she didn't know what to do. So she took her out. Now, the idea behind these examples is not that you need to really do something which is out of the ordinary. And there is other research, and even in these examples, and there is some other research which suggests that the percentage of time you are required to do something outside of class. Can you guess what percentage of the time are you called for doing something like this, where there is an opportunity to do something outside of class? What percentage of the time? 1%. No, it's a little more than 1%. It's about 8 to 10%. And that's also not much. It's only 8 to 10% of the time when there will be an opportunity for you to do something which is extra. Otherwise, you have to do whatever you have to do, your responses, it takes as much time to respond appropriately as it does to respond inappropriately. So I'm not asking you to spend extra time with the students, give them your be all and end all, be there with the students. I don't know how many of you, so of course so in 12th, I don't know ma'am, your teachers, do they go to the center to wish the students all the best? They do.
It's like almost like supporters were in the club out.
So for my daughter, when she gave her board exams, I went to the center and it was very nice to see that the teacher was there and the teacher was wishing everyone. So, little things like these, of course, sometimes the principal can tell you ki jao. But sometimes it can be out of your own volition. Nobody has told you, but you do want to go. There was another teacher who was a guest teacher. So she was not really required to go, but she was there. So she knew the center and she was waiting for all the students. These are the things that the students will remember. And what is it that you said to them that morning? They will remember it. And what they remember, can we go on to the slide? Next slide. Yeah, just go on. So they may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Exact words they will not remember. Your students will not remember, just as you don't remember exactly what the teacher said. But you'll remember how motivated she made you feel. You will remember how empowered she made you feel. Or reverse, if a teacher has humiliated you in front of, especially public humiliation in front of everyone, a teacher has said, oh, tumse to hota nahi hai. What atrocious spelling, what pronunciation, anything. That is something which will leave a scar on you. So how you make the children feel is going to stay with them perhaps forever. So we need to think about what we say and how we say, because that's what the students remember. Next slide. So I'm going to be talking about two things in today's session. When we talk about teaching from the heart, there are two things which are important: self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Self-awareness is a component of emotional intelligence. So you all must have read about emotional intelligence. Just as there is IQ, which is the intelligence quotient, there is EQ, emotional quotient, and SQ, which is spiritual quotient. EQ as a term came about in the late 1980s and 1990s and after that. Goldman is a person who's attributed with the study of emotional intelligence. So I won't go into the theory of it. But what was interesting about his work, which he showed that you could be very good technically, like you may know your subject very well, you could understand what you are doing, which is true for any profession. And they did a study of, and it's called for leadership, EQ for leaders, why it matters more than IQ. That's the title of his book. And what he found was they looked at CEOs who are doing very, very well. And they looked at CEOs the company did not do too well under them. There were interpersonal issues and so on. And then they tried to compare the two and see what is it that was different in terms of their personality, in terms of their behavior. How are the two leaders different? And the number one thing that emerged as a difference was this EQ. How you're able to emotionally understand yourself first and then other people. So EQ is really two things. The first is the ability to understand yourself and understand your emotions and respond accordingly. So you should understand, today I'm not in a good mood. Today I'm feeling very tired, or today I'm feeling angry, and understand why you're feeling angry and then behave accordingly. And the second is understanding the person who's in front of you and then responding appropriately to that person, understanding the other person's emotions. That is what is emotional intelligence. So there are 5 competencies of emotional intelligence. The first, starting with self-awareness, understanding your own self, who you are as a person, what your core values are, what your beliefs are, what your goals are, what is it that you want out of life, for instance. These are important things that each one of us must know about ourselves. Then comes empathy, putting yourself in the shoes of the other person, understanding the other person's perspective. If you have empathy, you will be able to respond in an appropriate manner. Motivation. You need to be internally motivated. As teachers, there are times when we often become cynical and we wonder, are we really making a difference to anybody's lives? We are expected to be nation builders. But really हम कुछ कर रहे हैं, कोई सुनता भी है हमारी? Sometimes in college, especially when one is dealing with children who are 20-year-olds and so on, you feel that I'm not sure if anyone is even I'm making a difference to anyone. My job is to teach, पढ़ाओ, subject matter और वापस आ जाओ. Really life lessons कोई मेरे से सुन भी रहा है. And then suddenly you get one email from a student whom you taught 15 years back where she'd say, you know, ma'am, you said this to me, now I'm a mother myself and what you said is very important and now this is how I resonate with it. And then you say, chalo, at least in every batch if one person has listened to me, I'm making a difference somewhere. And nobody can motivate you till you're motivated yourself. All external motivation, carrot and stick, will work, it'll bring you here. You won't listen and it won't reach you here until you're internally motivated. बैठेंगे क्योंकि बैठना है, शायद attendance लग रही होगी. But you won't listen, it won't make any difference to you unless you are internally motivated. The fourth is self-regulation. There will be times when you are angry. You want to say something to a child who is arguing with you. You want to say something back to your administrator, to your headmistress, to a parent, to a child. Sometimes a parent can be very, very, very lacks complete understanding and puts the blame to you squarely. And then you want to say things, but you are the adult, you are the person in charge. You can't say things that you want to. So how to regulate your emotions in that moment is emotional intelligence. And finally, social skills. Social skills of making yourself likable, presentable, and dealing with other people. All of this is emotional intelligence. We are going to next slide. We are going to start with self-awareness. Two things are important in self-awareness: being mindful and understanding your own values. When we are mindful, we use all our senses to center ourselves. Man started off by saying SILENT, silent. It's a way of centering. Our minds are very powerful. You could be sitting here imagining 20 different things. घर पे क्या हो रहा है, खाना क्या बनना है, बच्चा, husband, school, class, all kinds of things are going on in our minds. So it's important to center ourselves when we enter the classroom. I'll do a quick mindfulness exercise with you all, which is very simple. You can do it anywhere, sitting anywhere. Next slide. I want you to look ahead and see 5 things. Notice 5 things in front of you that up till now you had not noticed. You're sitting and seeing. Now I want you to notice 5 things. Just look in front and see 5 things. Now 4 things that you can feel. So we are sitting mindlessly. Can you feel the cushion? Can you feel your watch, for instance? Your glasses? A clip? Anything. Try and feel 4 things. Three things that you can hear. Two things that you can smell. Can you smell anything? And one thing that you can taste. Is there an aftertaste of something? No? Okay, now the first one. What were the 5 things that you noticed now when I asked you to notice, which perhaps you had not seen? You had not noticed. You were seeing, of course, but you had not noticed. Anyone here? Yes, ma'am. Switchboard, okay. What else? Okay. Speaker. 3 ones, okay? 4, yeah, 5. Oh, you did see that. Thank you for noticing that. इसलिए exercise करवाई मैंने ये. Okay, anyone here? What did you notice? Sorry? Stairs. Okay. Any tiny crack or something somewhere? That board. Oh, that board at the back. All right. Anyone here? What did you notice? Paintings. Okay. Wire hanging. Yes. Those are probably for mics. Yes. Yes. Okay. What is it that you could feel? Okay. Warmth. Your ring. Yes. Okay. So you're wearing the ring, but you were not feeling it. It's a part of you. Only when I asked you to notice, you noticed. What is it that you could hear? Someone was talking. Okay. Chairs reaching. Okay. Somebody was zipping the bag. Okay. Yeah, the of the projector. Yes. Okay. What could you smell? Neighbor's perfume. Yes. Anyone else could smell anything here?
Smell the furniture.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's a slight musty smell. Yes. Okay. And taste? Coffee. Did you just have coffee before this? So you could all taste it. Okay. So the idea of this simple activity is to try and use all our 5 senses. Right? You use all your 5 senses to center yourself to what you are doing now. You can make your students do this exercise. If on a day they feel particularly distracted, you ask them, okay, let's do this. It takes 2 minutes. You don't have to ask them for their responses also if you're short on time. Yeah. If they're feeling stressed out, distracted, one time there was an exam in my college. I was the invigilator. So in summers, we have the exam at 9. In winters, we have it at 9:30. So there was something which I had forgotten. And on the answer sheet, it said 9:30, whereas the exam was supposed to be at 9. So उन्होंने उसमें टाइप गलत कर दिया. I also didn't realize summers हो गए. So I'm sitting and waiting और बच्चे बड़ी जल्दी आके मिल गए. ये बहुत ही एंटू बच्चे हैं. They come so early. We were expecting the question paper to be given at 9. I didn't know. I'm waiting. Question paper आ गया, but I'm waiting 9:30 देना है. Now they were very restless. But nobody said कि मैम क्यों नहीं दे रहे हो. So मैंने कहा चलो ये exercise करते हैं. So I made them do this exercise. वो भी time हो गया. Then I said चलो एक imagery exercise करते हैं. So I made them do all kinds of exercises. And then of course the exam began late, so we gave them extra time. But after that they said, "Ma'am, हमारा बड़ा ही अच्छा exam है." So we were very anxious, but we felt very good about it. Our exam बहुत अच्छा हुआ, we were not nervous. So in any kind of a stressful situation, especially if you do this very very simple exercise, you will find that you're like I said, centered is the word. You're more mindful of your surroundings and you're using all your 5 senses. Next slide. So how does one increase your self-awareness? So mindfulness, of course, is the starting point. It's just a very context. It orients you to the context around it. How do you become more aware of yourself? Reflection, very, very powerful. Think and reflect on things that are going well for you, things perhaps which you want to improve. Even reflection, literally reflection, looking into the mirror and seeing what does the mirror tell you about you. Yeah, and you can use it in a positive manner. Ask the mirror to tell you 5 positive things about you. So notice 5 positive things about you. Some of them could be physical, some of them could be non-physical. Maintain a journal, especially if there is something that bothers you. So is there anyone who feels exceptionally angry, or you get into a altercation with, let's say, your spouse or your children? मतलब लड़ाई होती है बहुत. Especially with teenage children, कभी कभी होती है, with spouses होती है. So you end up arguing and then you feel bad and you feel, I wish I hadn't said this. Yeah? Yes? No? So some of you. Okay. So if you maintain an anger journal, okay, what is an anger journal? The days where you've had a fight or a kind of a screaming match, not normal argument, वो तो शायद रोज हो सकती है, but like it's not a nice feeling after that. Maintain an anger journal where you write down the time, the day of the week, what is it that you ate, what was the trigger, and you may realize that there are certain commonalities. So when I started keeping my anger journal, I realized that most of our fights are on Saturday. For you also? What's the reason? Free time. That's what my husband said. He said, Saturday को तुम्हारे पास time होता है, बाकी दिन तुम चले जाते हो. So because you have more time on Saturday, literally, so whatever he said, बाकी दिन बोला, you don't have the time to respond, चले गए काम पे. फिर शाम को it looks too trivial to even acknowledge and address it. But on Saturday, आज तो पकड़ लिया.
Every time.
So I had to write it for a few times before I came to this. Yes, I was writing. Sometimes you will realize that, especially if it comes with children, you will realize it helped me with my own daughter. I realized that she had not eaten. So we are hungry, they are hungry, especially children. So it could happen because she's just irritable because she's hungry. So when they are younger, of course, बच्चों को हम खिलाते रहते हैं. When they are older, you feel अपने आप खा लिया होगा. You don't ask that much. So I realized it's been a long gap. She's not eaten. So you may realize simple, small things like these which will help you. So that is self-awareness, understanding, and of course with people who matter. So self-awareness with regards to why is it that we are having a fight? Perhaps there are trigger points, like simple things like these which can be rectified. So maintain a journal, reflect. Know what pushes your buttons. Like I said, what is the trigger? So I realized I've studied at LSR, now teaching at LSR for the last 23 years. I realized that LSR turns us all into feminists and sometimes unabashedly so. And it's often not nice to be so passionately fighting for a cause. Sometimes you come across as rebel without a cause. And some of these, so what irked me or what irks me even now is when people forward these jokes which are demeaning to women. There are lots of jokes like that. I feel very offended. And I would often respond on a WhatsApp group. And then कभी-कभी किसी ने कुछ बोला, you end up arguing, and I'm like, what a waste of time. And then people would say, grow up, get a sense of humor. It's a joke. And I realized, well, it's a joke, it may be offensive, it's perhaps not that offensive to them, so I'll have to ignore it a bit. And then I realized, even when I'm at somebody's house and somebody says something, or meri biwi maike gayi hui hai, I'm a free bird, those kinds of comments were very appalling. Sorry sir, I hope aap nahi bolte aise. So there's only one man, one word. So men think it's funny, but perhaps women don't. So I understood that I need to think of it in that light and be gracious about giving men that. And then I realized that because this is what pushes my buttons, if the conversation becomes a little too much, just distance myself. To khade ho, bahar chale jao. Because no point. It's a party, it's a dinner at somebody's house. Why make it into this very, very serious conversation about men versus women? So that you need to be self-aware about what is it that makes you very, very angry and how are you going to resolve it, because you can't spoil everyone's out there to have a good time, right? And visit your values. Understand what your values are and try and integrate into whatever you do. So I'll do a small exercise to visit your values and to understand your own values. If you feel uncomfortable, there's a bit of a trigger warning. If you feel uncomfortable doing it, don't do it. But I would urge you to do it. And I promise you, you will learn something very deep about yourself. I want you to think of and write your eulogy. Everyone understands a eulogy? So think of a time in your future. Pick up any time. You could be 80, you could be 100, and you are no more. आजकल उठावनी पे जाते हैं तो देखा है ना, कोई लोग बोलते हैं उनके बारे में, people who passed away, उनके बारे में कोई family members अच्छा ही बोलते हैं उठावनी पे. I want you to think of yourself, which is why I said it could be triggering. If it makes you uncomfortable, don't do it. But mortality is a real thing. Don't pick a time now. You can pick up a time when you are 80, 100, 200 लगा लो, जो लगा लो, कोई बात नहीं. Take a time which you are comfortable with And then write down, if you have a pen and paper, please write it down there. If not, then just take your phones and write in your phone. First, pick a family member who you think will outlive you. Write down what it is that they are going to say about you. Three, 4 lines. Then think of a friend, a close friend. What is it that the friend will say about you? And third, a colleague, a work colleague. What is the work colleague going to say about you? So I want everyone to write 4 or 5 lines for 3 different people. You need to think about it. Please do not discuss with each other. Write it yourself. Can I give you about 10 minutes to do this? All right. So 10 ज़्यादा है. I think I'll have to give you 7 or 8 minutes only. We are running short of time. One second, I'm going to write. So it's very brave of ma'am to share something so personal. And I hope others will follow and share what you've written. So at least 3, 4 responses. Yes, ma'am, I'm going to come to you next.
Family, I feel my husband will outlive me and would say, Kash, yaar, ye khana acha bana. And my friends would say, oh my God, Fab India ke bill kaun dega? And colleague would say, अच्छा हुआ चलिए शांत.
Okay. No, I think this was half in jest. I'm sure she doesn't think people are going to say this. So we will ignore this. Yes, ma'am. What's your name?
Rakhi Sethi.
Rakhi. Yes.
Vasundhara 1. First of all, I would like to thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. I always think and I wanted to share that what kind of autonomy I want for myself. So, all my friends, please come with white flowers for my prayer meeting. Yeah, the theme which should be white. And I think my family, my mother first, followed by my children and my husband. They will, this is straight from my heart, they will think that I was pillar of strength as a child for my mother. When I grew up, I was a good mother and I've been always supportive for my husband. And friends, if I'm not wrong, they will say I'm happy, jovial, and they want to be, I'm a person they want to be with. That's what I feel. If I'm wrong, you can correct me later. My colleagues will say that I am a flexible person. Some of my colleagues will also correct my English. And that's all. And yes, of course, some of them will always say, "Meri kich kich zyada karegi."
Oh,
Thank you so much, ma'am.
thank you. I need two more responses quickly. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. So, first of all, that was really so brave of you, what you shared, and what you've been thinking about. That I've been thinking that this could be the theme. I've been always talking about what my farewell could be like. And you've been talking about this geology. However,
What's your name?
Alpana,
Alpana.
ARPA.
Yeah.
So I believe, ma'am, it's other way around what ma'am said in the beginning, that her husband would think that Kash khana bana pati. My husband would think, wow, she was an excellent cook. And they would definitely miss. And however, at some point of time, not even if not in public, they would definitely feel that she used to lose her temper at some point. And friends would definitely miss me because they find me cool, and colleagues, of course, they'll say that yeah, she had a spark, but however, she needed sometimes constant reminders for documenting few things. If not in public, but in personal, they will definitely think this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let me remind everyone that usually उठावनी पे अच्छी चीजें ही बोलते हैं लोग. Okay.
It's all nice. As a person like that, ऐसा तो नहीं था. Oh, I said we will say Apna was a doll.
All right. One person from here. Yes, ma'am. What's your name?
Myself, Amandeep Kaur,
Aman.
AIS MB.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. For family, I have chose my children. So they'll be thinking, Mama was very chirpy. And they will also think Mama was very creative because I always help them with their projects. And they will think Mama always took care of us and we miss her.
Okay.
And about my friends, they will be saying she was a gem. She was very helpful to us, but she was a little bit reserved. And my colleagues, just a couple of days back, they just said, it good in my mind. They will be saying she was very creative, very warm, and a cheerful person.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Thank you for sharing. आप मैम बोलना चाहते हैं? Okay. One last now.
I think autonomy would be too early to realize that the person has gone. If I think of my husband, I think he would be speechless. So maybe all of them would be speechless to talk about the person who has. They take time to realize that each
Right.
moment they realize that you have gone and you are no more.
Right. Okay. So if I take the responses from here, remember what I've asked you to do is to think of what somebody else will say for you, not necessarily what they will say for you. So this is what you think they will say. So this is what is your self-awareness. You're projecting that this is what they're all going to say for you. Right? So if you genuinely mean it, I'm not sure how much Mohan ma'am meant it. If you really mean it, then think of what are the commonalities between these three threads of people. Let's look at Rakhi's. Pillar of strength, happy, jovial, good company, flexible. So being a happy-go-lucky person, a flexible person who gives strength to other people, these are her core values. This is how she wants to be remembered. So this is what is central to her being. Note that things like very efficient, organized, disciplined, all of these are missing. I'm not saying you're not these. You could be. I don't know you well enough. But what is of more importance and value to you are these. So these are your core values. Coming to Arpana. Cool. It's interesting how friends think of her as cool and yet with husband she loses her temper. With kids also and with spouse also. Only your teenage. Only your teenage. Yes. So please do maintain an anger journal. Perhaps it might help you. So being somebody who's a good cook, somebody who has a spark, and yet is okay with taking reminders. You know, it's not something that really bothers her. She's okay with that, right? So that's her value. So she seems to be a more of a cool person rather than something else. Because she's cool, therefore she's okay with reminders. So that's what is common in her. So you know, she's not that very ambitious go-getter that I have to do this and I have to achieve this at all costs. Being cool is okay with her. That's her value. Amandi. Creative came up twice. And helpful, warm, and caring. So these are your core values. Being caring and being creative. Where is Amanda? Yeah. So you would do well if you do something creative. You like doing creative things. You will be happy to do something creative. And also caring. So when you do things for other people, whether they are friends, family, or students, you like it. So one must understand what your core values are. Any kind of value inventory. I could give you a paper and pencil test on values and I could ask you to tick mark important values. It won't give you as much insight as things like these. So of course I haven't gone to each person, but I really wish you would do this more seriously, write down and then try and connect all three and see what are the commonalities. It will tell you something deeper about yourself, about how you want to be remembered. And that is the self-awareness that I want you all to think about because these are core values to you. And work to reflect these values not only in your teaching, but whatever you do. It will make you a happier and a more contented person and you will have a more meaningful life. Next. Okay, the second is understanding other people by listening effectively. How we listen is how we respond. And as teachers especially, we are used to talking but not listening. So when you listen to somebody else, you are more likely to respond in a more empathetic manner. I'm going to give you an example of listening. Okay, so I'll give you there'll be one slide which I will read out. I want you to think of the parts of the sentence that you notice and will stand out for you. Next slide. Next slide. So you teach mathematics to students of class 3 and you've given homework to all the students. Anuj, your student, has not done his homework. When you ask him why, he says, I can never do my maths homework. We didn't go over how to do division in class. I'm going to get my brother to do it for me. He's good in maths and I stink. Please change the sign. Okay, which part of this 2-3 sentences do you remember and stood out for you? I cannot do maths. My brother is good in ice cream. And ice cream. Anyone here? We did not go over division in class. Anyone else here? एक मेन चीज जो आपको इस मैसेज में से याद है, not done in school. Now, how you respond, what you say to the child depends on how you have listened. If you focus on this aspect, we did not do division in class. You didn't go over division. Accusation हो गया? Your response is immediately defensive. No, I did it. उससे पूछो, मैंने कराया था ना क्लास में. You don't pay attention. But if you focus on the part where he says, I stink, it tells you that it's his cry for help. He's saying, मुझसे नहीं होता. फिर आपकी वो impossible वाली man will work. Somebody who says there is nothing known as impossible. So when you listen effectively and listen for feeling, you're teaching very young children. They may not have the proper words, but it's their body language, it is how they speak, it is the tone, it is the feeling. When you understand the feeling, आपका response will be more of empathetic response. You need empathy to respond. Maths तो कभी भी पढ़ा नहीं. But if the child gets this feeling that I am not good at maths and I can never do maths, वो जिंदगी भर maths नहीं कर पाएगा. So please listen with feeling and respond. Okay. When you respond, between stimulus and response, there is this slight, take a slight pause. When you say ना ये बच्चा मुझे बहुत गुस्सा दिलाता है, मैं इससे बात नहीं कर सकती. वो गुस्सा दिलाता है, गुस्सा आप होते हो. Stimulus is in front of you, response is how you choose to respond. So in that space is your power to choose your response, and therein is your growth and freedom. A beautiful quote by Frankl. So how does one manage to respond and not react? Breathe right, count to 10. Simple चीजें हम सबको पता है. Don't respond right then and there. Count to 10. Sleep on it. Never ever send a WhatsApp to anyone when you are angry. Wait. Take some time. Pause. 2-3 घंटे बाद भेजिए. Next morning भेजिए. You know, your angry email if you shoot out, or an angry WhatsApp that you shoot out to a student or a parent, it's a permanent record. What you have said, if you want to make up later, you can say, no, this is not what I meant. This is the context and I meant it in this particular light. It's easy to kind of explain things away. In a WhatsApp, it's a permanent record. And then the person who's at the receiving end will read it twice, thrice, 5 times and keep getting more and more angry. Never send a WhatsApp which is an angry WhatsApp. Sleep on it. Think about it. Buy time. As I said, temporarily remove yourself from the situation if required. Next slide, please. Next slide. Keeping yourself motivated. Simple things like exercise, sleep. Very, very important to exercise. You know, it releases endorphins. So exercise is not just because you want to be thin. It's because it releases endorphins. Even in this peak winter where we don't feel like going out to walk, when you come back from a walk, you'll be all warm. Your feet will be warm, isn't it? So please take time to exercise, take time to sleep well, 6 to 7 hours. Keep away your phones at least half an hour before you sleep. We tell our students all this, and we don't do all of this, right? So very important to sleep, practice self-compassion, self-care, gratitude. I think gratitude is the most important life lesson. It's a skill. You need to train your mind to be grateful and appreciate the good things in life. You know, sometimes when I'm sitting in this bitter cold and I'm all warm in my quilt because I have a hot water bottle, my room is warm, I feel guilty thinking of the homeless people. And then I'm so grateful for what I have. I'm grateful for the hot water bottle. So simple things like a good cup of tea, a good cup of coffee, enjoy it, savor it. Even the cold. I don't like the cold pretty much, but still it's, it's also good. It's a different weather. Enjoy it instead of cribbing about it. So be grateful. Next slide. Take time to reflect on things which are going well. And there is so much, there is so much to be grateful for. We are sitting in a position of privilege. So much to think about and be grateful and thank the universe, thank people around you. Next slide. So one homework, we don't have time to do this. I want you to write a gratitude letter. Think of a person in your life who has done something for you, big or small, but you either have not thanked the person properly or not thanked the person enough. Could be your mother, could be your father, could be your spouse, could be your domestic help. They do so much and they are unsung. They make our life so much more convenient. Thank them nicely. Thanksgiving Day hota hai bahar. We have such a rich tradition, but we've forgotten how to thank them. So please, today your exercise is you have to thank one person. Write it, and if you can, go and thank the person. You will see how nice you feel and how nice they feel. Goes a long way in building a beautiful relationship. And that's empathy. You understand what they're doing for you and you're expressing your gratitude. Next slide. Next slide. So how does one make yourself, social skills? Firstly, greet others by name. Try and remember everyone's names. Your students, remember each other's name and call them by their name. Every person in your life, if you remember their name and you call them by their name, they will immediately like you. And the more junior the person, they will be flattered that you remember their name. Yeah? So चौकीदार कोई है, हमारे कॉलेज में एक माली है, वो उनको एक बार मैंने नाम से बुला दिया, वो मेरे को फूल लाके देते. And he sees me in the corridor, भाग के मैम कहती मुल्ला जी आप कैसे हैं, बच्चे ठीक हैं, and he's very happy. 2 मिनट भी नहीं लगेंगे. Next slide. Smile. इससे तो सिंपल चीज नहीं हो सकती, फिर भी हम लोग कंजूस हैं. Yeah, smile. Researchers have shown that, and people have been shown photographs of people with smile and without smile, the same people, and they've been asked to rate them on attractiveness. People, the same person, smiling versus non-smiling, 30% difference in appearance. 30%, just smile adds 30%. Lipstick सब कुछ 10%, 5% होता है. Smile alone had the highest impact on how attractive a person felt in appearance. 30%. And of course, it creates an immediate bond. It makes you feel likable. Yeah? It creates positivity. So smile, and especially with young children. If you appear energetic, if you appear positive and smiling and full of energy, classroom mein enter kar rahe hain, just okay. Immediately the children will like you. Master the art of asking questions. So try and find out, especially in today's time, your kids could be undergoing so much in their lives. If somebody is appearing to be disinterested, sad, irritable for a long time, maybe there's something going on in their lives. It could be a younger sibling is on the way, so the child is feeling anxious. The parents could be undergoing separation, could be fighting. Try and find out what's happening. Sometimes it's the understanding the context becomes very important. Next slide. Give respect to other people's opinion and never say you are wrong. If you are wrong and if you say to a child, I'm sorry, they will love you for it. Even if they are young children, they love it if you apologize. And if you don't know something or if you made a mistake, it's okay to say, I don't know. So in college now, we teach children who are 20 years old. I'm not expected to know all the answers. I certainly don't. So if they ask me a question to which I don't know the answer, I'm honest about it and I say, well, I don't know this, let me read up and come. Better than faffing. अब सबको पता चल रहा है कि आप ऐसे ही बोल रहे हो, आपको पता है. So you don't have to pretend that you know it all. It's better to say I don't know it and I'll get back to you. So never say that you know it all, or never express that. Then don't say that you are wrong and I'm right. Praise other people. Most important. Just as gratitude is important, praising other people, expressing that you've done a great job, goes a very long way in becoming a good team player. So when you work with other people, acknowledge their contributions, praise other people. कोई बच्चे ने अच्छा करा है, praise the other person. And especially with young children, the praise has to be very, very specific. Otherwise, they won't understand what you're praising them for. So if a young child who's normally unruly, you've told the child, okay, now help me today and distribute these copies. And the child has done it nicely. You have to say, thank you, that was very nice. आप बहुत अच्छे से आपने सबको दिया. Wonderful job. Instead of saying good boy. He won't understand किस चीज के लिए good boy बोला, मैंने ऐसा क्या करा है. So your praise has to be immediate and specific and focusing on the behavior of what the child has done. So be specific in your praise so that they understand and the others listening also understand कि ये वाली चीज मैम को बहुत पसंद. Next slide. So empathy is a natural human response. Have you heard of mirror neurons? So some of you seem to have. So especially I'm sure you'll understand this as when your child, those of you who are mothers, when your child is hurt, physically hurt, जैसे उसके कोई खून आया है या कोई बहुत जोर से लग गई, don't you feel a physical pain? The other day my house help उसका दरवाजे में हाथ ऐसे आ गया. I literally felt the pain. So our brains are biologically programmed, that's mirror neuron, that the neurons in the other person, your neurons of pain, mirror the neurons in the other person's brain. And then the response is the same. You feel physical pain as if you are the one who's hurt. So empathy is a natural response. But because of the buzz of our life and so much to do and multitasking and being on our phone all the time and not focusing on the person who's in front of you, we lose our empathy. But empathy is a natural human response. If we bring ourselves and keep thinking about how do I respond properly to this person, it will come naturally. It is not something difficult. But we need to think about empathy. We need to think about how to respond to another person. So it is non-negotiable. Please have empathy when you respond to the other person. How to remain positive? Sometimes in the staff room there will be people who will be dream killers who will say, "अरे कुछ नहीं होता, क्या करना है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता." Stay away from negative people. There are some people who will always be negative. Work to reflect your values in your teaching. So the values of, let's say, caring or creative as ma'am is, or whatever your values are, the values must reflect in your teaching to bring joy to you and to bring joys of the lives of those people whom you touch. So reflect your values in your teaching. Make time for solitude, reflection, hobbies, things that you enjoy doing. If it's a spa, it's a walk, whatever, holiday, going on holiday, whatever you like. And actively participate in growth activities. So for instance, if you like the concept of emotional intelligence, want to understand it more, there are so many online courses which are available. So attend and become a part of these online programs and try and learn whatever interests you. It could be technical knowledge, it could be soft skills, it could be leadership, it could be listening, it could be anything. Whatever you feel, it could be anger management. Yeah? So pick up a topic that you feel you want to improve and then try and do this. And participate in such activities. That's it. Yeah, next slide. Yes, and continue to be a lifelong learner. As teachers, it's not as if just because we are teachers, we have stopped learning. We should be able to learn all the time and continue to be a lifelong learner. We learn from our students, we learn from each other, we learn from the principal, the headmistress, by the society, the going on and what is happening around you. So learning at all stages is very important for us as teachers, and that's why you're here to attend the 3-day professional development course. Thank you very much.
Was a word of thanks to you, Kanika. I think your session was very, very engaging. Yes? I can't hear it. She said we need to be passionate. I can't hear it. खुद अकेले से yes है वैसे भी. But I think as teachers, as human beings, everybody knows about these things. But as you said, oh, backyard chali jati hai. But your session today involved everybody, everyone, each one of us for the session. And I'm sure the takeaways from today's lesson, as Dharma was saying that day on one of the PDPs, that whatever you learn, if you practice it within 24 hours, it remains with you then. And I think the empathy and the smile, if we could practice it from today onwards, it would remain with us throughout our lives. And yes, life is very mean, life is tough, there's no doubt about it. Things never work the way we want them to, but as Kanika ma'am said it, let's make an effort. और comfort zone से थोड़ा सा बाहर आ जाए. Thank you so much, Kanika ma'am. That was really, really wonderful and engaging session. And I'm sure we look forward for more sessions. And if I would take feedback from all of them, PDP कौन सी दोबारा चाहिए? Your name would be on the top list. I can say it and see the no, I hear yeses. And I think that's what was as chairperson, ma'am. Amita Chauhan ma'am has always felt it, and has always said this also, that she wants to give the best to the teachers. And teachers need to give their best to the students, and that's why we have resource person like you to deliver this to our teachers. And as you said, as primary teachers, it's very, very important. Thank you once again, and looking forward to seeing the change, and maybe we could see your seek your email ID or something, and the teacher wants to consult you for this. Yeah, there it is. I'm sure you would get a lot of them from them. But once again, gratitude. Question answers, yeah. But I think gratitude and shukrana is what is very important. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we have one more session now with the respected chairperson, which we have 15 minutes. So you all had your lunch, so there's no tea break, no coffee break now. And as it is, you're all tasting coffee in your mouth, so it's okay. I'm sure the taste is still alive in your mouth. So Anita ma'am is about to go. Maksud sir? I think a big thunderous applause is what is required for her session. Thank you.